In the name of my ancestors, peace forever and always, and welcome to another edition of the Reality's Temple on Earth Internet Ministry. Of course, I am the gatekeeper or the host of this particular program, known here on social media as the mighty, mighty, Angel Snupnup 7. I am your brother and hopefully your friend, Taalik Ibn'rad. I would first like to begin this particular talk by saying very quickly, due to the title of this video, I mean no disrespect to anyone. I do not mean to call you, in fact, the same goes to me. I am not calling us a fool out of disrespect. I am not calling us fools out of mockery or malice or this coming from a hurtful place. There is an old soul song. Many of you have heard the lyrics. Everybody plays a fool sometimes. I don't know of anyone, and I'm very sure there are very few people who can make the claim they have never been fooled, they have never been tricked, they have never been deceived. That is very rare. In fact, some of the greatest liars, some of the greatest tricksters, some of the greatest deceivers, thieves, have been made a fool out of themselves. So we should not feel anger, or we should not feel disrespected because someone calls us a fool, because anybody can be a fool sometime. That is not our problem. Our problem is once the deception has been exposed, that we remain a fool. And some of us, we do this. We know that we have been tricked. We know that we have been bamboozled. We know all these things, but the lie, the deception, we are so caught up in the emotion of the lie, the trick, that it feels good to be a fool in hopes that the lie or the deception, whatever it is that made us feel good, somehow it is true. And so we remain loyal to the deception, remain loyal to the trick. This is a serious problem among these who are called human beings, regardless of race, religion, gender, and so forth. We like being fools because sometimes living in ignorance, living in that foolish state of mind, makes us feel better about our existence. This is sad. This is why truth, especially real truth, that is why it is so hard for the truth to rise to the top. Slowly truth is rising up out of the muck and the mire, but it is having a very difficult time because we are in love with lies. We are in love with deception. We will marry a woman knowing she does not love you because we want her love so bad, but we know she will not return that love back. And this is vice versa. We will marry a man And we will love a person or have somebody as a friend knowing they are not a friend to us, knowing they don't see you the same way that you see them. But we like that connection and we would rather live that lie. And that is the core of what I want to bring to us today, is that we find joy, especially as descendants of slaves born in America, having dark skin. We have learned how to embrace deception and lies and this unreal world that we have adopted in our heads because it makes us feel better about our current condition. The problem is not being a fool. The problem is staying one. I have a few minutes. Let me get quickly to what I want to say and make the point. I want to use this as an example. And of course, the title of this particular video is Fools Defending Louis Farrakhan. Are you a fool? Let me give us this quick example, and very simple. I went to court, small claims court, with a relative. And the relative told me, don't get angry, stay calm. Why are you telling me this? You know how you can blow up. Okay, all right. I will take your advice. Once we got to court, as expected, and the defendant even put his hand on the Bible. But that did not stop the defendant from quickly starting off his testimony by telling lies. And as the lies flowed from his mouth, my relative is the one that could not stay calm. My relative is the one who began to get all upset because they could not handle the lies that was coming out of the defendant's mouth. However, I was the one who stayed cool, calm, and collect. Because of this, the only thing I had to do was present evidence. That's all I had to do. And if this judge was any kind of judge and just, if this judge was competent in their job, then I knew I would prevail in this case. So the lies was presented. And the real truth, the evidence was presented. I did not have to explain nothing. There was nothing complex about what was presented. When it was all said and done, with all the lies that the defendant placed upon the court, they lost because the truth overwhelmed and easily overcame lies. There was no need to defend and keep defending and trying to explain my position. The evidence spoke for itself. So, in the 1980s, when I was a fruit of Islam, and I had joined as a young man Louis Farrakhan's version of the Nation of Islam. It is his version because Elijah Muhammad was no longer among us. In fact, this was 3, 4, 5 years after the death of Messenger Elijah Muhammad. In the 1980s, there was no defending Farrakhan. We did very little of that. In fact, the people in the neighborhoods where we were working, they were happy to see a return. I want to say this again. They were happy to see a return of the Nation of Islam. So there was very little defense or defending the Nation of Islam and Louis Farrakhan in the 1980s because our works was enough. Our works show and prove what we were about. However, things began to change and soon would change. In the 1980s, Brother Farrakhan, and you can go back and see this for yourself, there was an effort to destroy titles in the nation. And we were to see ourselves as just brother so-and-so and sister so-and-so. There was no captain, there was no lieutenant, there was none of these titles, there was no minister, there was none of these things, just Brother Louis Farrakhan. I was in a meeting and Brother Farrakhan said to us, he said in 1982, he told us in a private meeting, call me Brother Farrakhan. I am your little brother. Don't call me the Honorable. They was trying to call him the Honorable Louis Farrakhan way back then, and he said, stop it. What has changed? What has changed? And he told us he would stick to the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. What has changed? What has changed is now he is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. The word brother is not there no longer. And he did not stick to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Many of you do not even know what those teachings really were. The only thing you know about is what has been given to you by Louis Farrakhan and his version of those teachings. Minister Farrakhan began to say that Elijah Muhammad is alive, and we tolerated that, okay? But then as he started with that, and then he began to add more and alter the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. Then he, in my opinion, and for many of us, we did not like how he treated Brother Khalid Muhammad. There was also questions on all the millions of dollars that we were raising because each individual temples, we were not benefiting from all these millions of dollars. What was going on with all these monies that we were raising? Way back then, there was something called power products. There was lotion and shampoos and all this. That was a failure. The restaurant, the Salon restaurant in Chicago, first is open, then it's closed. What is going on here? When you ask questions, you're disrespectful. Nobody can't ask no question. But as long as you kiss Minister Farrakhan's backside and you stay with the program, everything is all right. So I did not sign up for Farrakhanism. I never knew who the man was until the 1980s. I never knew who he was. And then he lambasted and slandered Malcolm X. So I didn't know who Malcolm was. And I did my research upon who Malcolm was. And I found that I did not agree with what they said about Malcolm. But now he praises Malcolm because he said he was childish back then. His understanding was different. No, your understanding was not different. You see that people still love Malcolm. And you see that Malcolm, even though he is dead, he began to rise. So you don't want to look like the bad guy anymore. Here I am. I helped you for years and years and years. But you won't respond to a letter or a telephone call from me. And they know who I am. Believe this. But you will embrace Snoop Dogg and all these other celebrity people. Why is that? Am I not your brother? Are you not your brother's keeper? What has happened here? This is why you have to defend Farrakhan, because he no longer has that. The character is not there. My time is out, but that's what I'm saying. The character is not there. This person is not whom you think that he is. Jot down your comments. We'll keep talking about it. This was and is the Reality's Temple on Earth.